So I've been witnessing a copious amount of the personal archives following the past several posts of sensei OCs drawn and shown by people on Reddit. And I was thinking, how well can one's OC sensei can protect the students? Now, I asked the wonderful subreddit of Blue Archive to check if I missed any senseis. And honestly, I thought this was going to get scrolled past like any other post. I was wrong. Which brings us to this mess. Now, just a little disclaimer, every sensei can technically protect their students because, by Lord in Christ, we have the Shittim Crest and the Adult card. This tier list mainly focuses on their physical capabilities. Here, we have a tier list that has 5 ranks, and we will be going through them one by one to not confuse myself. And because of that, this series will be split into 2 parts, covering the first 3 tiers first and the rest at part 2. Cause 1, I did not hold back when it comes to researching all of these senseis, which means I've been writing paragraphs. And 2, I have some insufficient info about some senseis due to me not being familiar with the game, fanfic, or movie they came from. If you guys want to help with that, here is the link to the post. First, we have the Defenseless tier. These senseis don't really have the renowned power to protect their students without the help of our little AI daughter, Arona. Also, this tier list isn't organized because I'm a lazy piece of shit, and this tier will be a fast one because they're all practically the same sensei we know, in different shapes and sizes. First one on this list will be Sipa Sensei, I think that's how you pronounce it. The Uzaki Suki of Senseis. Extreme MILF energy coming from her, and if you all don't know, she gets pegged by her students all the time cause all of them are futas? Yeah, that's why she's in this tier. Next member of Chalet is the classic basic small sensei. I have no idea why I did not start with this, but I don't really need to explain why this little guy over here is defenseless. Moving on, Shota Sensei. Same reason as the previous one with a bigger nerf, cause he's a little child. Gunzo Sensei is also another MILF sensei who is a bit more of a wholesome dorky mommy type. And unlike the 3 dorks we know in game, she can't defend herself from gunfire, or is capable of wielding a firearm without supervision. So she's here to stay. Following up, Anime Sensei. Now we have lots of scenes where this man is capable in defending himself and students, but not here. This tier list is focused on physical capability, so he is pretty much defenseless. Then we have the legendary CH Sensei, whose art always gets used without his credit. I'm looking at you shorts posting mother. But back to topic, CH Sensei has a high chance on getting either kidnapped or dominated by students in bed, or anywhere the student sees fit. Kojima Sensei. I'm just gonna put it here because it'll be so funny if he sees it. And adding that the fact we only see him asking Mare to get that off the screen. Next up, Oyakodon Sensei. Now, if I have to be honest, most senseis I've witnessed is either they have special characteristics, or it's just base sensei with a different personality. And Oyakodon Sensei belongs to the second one, which puts him here. Now before we go to the final one, I'm going to list out some base senseis with different personalities in a quick matter. That being Gogogo Sensei, Jolsal Sensei, and Urode Sensei. And finally, our favorite teal head small sensei, Vivo. I don't need to explain this whatsoever. She has been raped, and it's almost downright sad. And don't get me started with her backstory with Yume. With the defenseless tier done, now we reach the capable tier. Unlike the last tier, these senseis can in fact fight back, without either the card or Arona. Surprise surprise. For starters, we have PS68 Sensei, who has shown to be a very charismatic man solving problems through persuasions alone within their comics. Not to mention his Riz hits the roof, but physically not so much. Still cool nonetheless, which is why he earns his name in the capable tier. Next is our favorite cunning Meister who was recently resurrected from YouTube's bullshit ban system, Uncle Akun Sensei. For him, his unusual charisma and degeneracy is enough to make most people say f no and leave. Sounds like PS68 Sensei but on camera. Mikazuki Mo is an interesting one. Aside from her tendencies to harass students with their animalistic features, She will actually beat the living out of you if you treat her students the wrong way. However, with no signs of combat experience, she is also another sensei with a different personality and a different gender. That sounds kinda sexist, what the fuck. Kusa Moita is the same really. Despite the fierce look, he is actually a softie who treats all students like his loved ones. Now there isn't a comic seeing him beat the shit out of someone, but I'm going to assume that this man will slap you if you try to hurt a student. Drake Sensei. All jokes aside, cause I'm not going to put that shit in here.
Drake, why that thing so long?
This man can actually throw punches if needed, meaning that he can actually defend his students when needed. Also, maybe he could start rapping the shit out of some PMC soldier to make them cry. Moving on, we have Lukishi Sensei. Now, funny enough, I've asked the main author regarding the hidden power his OC has, cause most of his comics are just plain goofy. Without surprise, he responded saying that Lukishi Sensei has a goofy personality with high charisma and is a father-type sensei. He also pointed out that his only quote-unquote ability is that his eyes function the same as Ichika. The iconic, you know you're fucked the moment his eyes open, that type of scenario. Now, he doesn't have any extra advantages aside from looking extremely intimidating, and he also carries a firearm. Next is Dorontabi, and just like Lukishi, the only thing that goes for him is his intimidating look as well as his Superman-like physique. That's it. Jump to Chomp Sensei. Putting his time-traveling technology aside, cause they're the shit him crest and adult card, if you read his One Hoshino a Day Works, he survived 4 blows of Year 1 Hoshino. So being a living shield kinda gives him the edge here. And finally, Sakeshi Madara Sensei. Another MILF Sensei here, but she leans toward the Domi Mommy type. And yeah, she is another sensei that will beat the shit out of you if you even try to look at her students the wrong way, especially if it's Wakamo. Still, no special abilities aside from reading the minds of her close ones, that being her students. Moving on to the next tier, now we're getting to the spicy part, the extraordinary tier. As the name suggests, these senseis can defend their students with the added bonus of some advantages over others like strength, skill, or equipment. First up, Joshua Graham Sensei from Fallout. To be fair, anyone who has been surviving on an apocalyptic world covered with radiation is bound to have some form of survival and combat instinct. He also possesses a good amount of firearms in his arsenal. To top that off, he survived being burned alive and called himself the Burned Man, which puts him in this tier. Next up, Captain Price and Ghost from Call of Duty. If you've seen Call of Duty and have been watching the cutscenes, there is no surprise as to why they belong in this tier. I mean, come on, they're the highest elite of special ops with a lot of experience on the battlefield. Moving on, we have Keanu Reeves, aka John Wick. Flexible, deadly in hand-to-hand combat, ranged combat, can somehow make an antique revolver work by switching multiple parts, yada 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 yada. Next, Onosai Sensei, also known as the Femme Sensei with a tendency to sex her students. Apparently, I asked my buddy who has ingested more Blue Archive content online, and he mentioned that Onosai Sensei is an ex-marine. And you don't f*** with marines. There is a comic where she took down a lot of bad guys in 500 seconds. Not sure how many enemies, but still. Jazz Sensei is up next. Most of you who had read his works on Reddit should know by now that he is the sensei who has somehow survived multiple grand assaults from students. That amount of stamina deserves to be praised. Next, we have Game Development Department Sensei from the official Blue Archive manga. He is a literal walking tank. Enough said. Next up, Gordon Freeman Sensei from the Half-Life series. Now, among the senseis here, Gordon is one of the few people in the list of fandom senseis that have fought literal aliens before coming to Kivotos. Got that info on this light novel from this gentleman who sent a link to it. Putting his story in Kivotos aside, Gordon Freeman has an arsenal of weapons and some of them are just insane. Aside from the normal firearms you see in real life, he also possesses a gun that can fire molecule lasers, a particle accelerator that uses uranium as ammo, an arm that shoots hornets, and a gravity gun. doesn't change the fact that he is still human, but his arsenal says otherwise. Johnny Silverhand Sensei is up next before he becomes a rocker boy and the lead singer of his band Samurai. He was a military veteran who is known to have fought against mega corporations and the corrupted government of Cyberpunk, which is impressive. However, just like most senseis in this list, he is still human and is susceptible to injuries. And finally, Lazy Ant Sensei. He is actually just GDD Sensei, except he is already born with that size but skinnier. Alright, like I said before in the intro, this is where I'll be putting a checkpoint. So expect a video soon. I'ma just go back to play DRG and forget I have a YouTube channel. Alright, before I actually go, I want to give my special thanks to everyone who helped me in this post. This will not be possible without you guys, and I would have gotten so many comments on me missing out some senseis. There could be more, but still, thank you, all of you wonderful people, for making this video possible.